You're listening to Beyond the Campaign, and this is episode number 5. Welcome to Beyond the Campaign. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac, podcast publicist, author, and host of this show and Read the Damn Book. Here, you're going to learn from political candidates and from politicians. We're not just going to talk about the issues. We're going to talk about the human beings who are investing themselves in us so that we can invest ourselves in them. This is Beyond the Campaign. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac, and today I have another candidate for Lieutenant Governor of California. You might be familiar with him. It is Tim Myers. He is formerly of OneRepublic. He definitely is familiar in our house because we are OneRepublic fans, and so my kids were extremely excited that I was going to get to interview Tim. I loved getting to learn about Tim as a person and as someone who doesn't have a political background who is running for a very important office. I do believe we need a lot more of everyday people like Tim, like you, like me, who are running for office to make a difference, to see that change that we are all longing for. So get ready to hear Tim's story and what he's looking forward to do as Lieutenant Governor of California. Hi, Tim.
Hi, how's it going?
Oh, it's so good. I am so excited. I love your background.
Thank you. Thank
That
you.
is
And
awesome. It's
thanks so
much
much
better
for
than
having me.
books.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'm so happy to be here and talking with you.
Can you take a moment to introduce yourself for those who don't know who you are? My family, as you know, knows who you are. So you're a big deal today in this house.
Yeah, my name's Tim Myers, and I was in the band OneRepublic. And before all that, grew up working class pastor's kid. I'm a dad, businessman, owner of Palladium Records and founder. And yeah, I do music for a living. And now I'm running for Lieutenant Governor of California.
That's quite a big pivot.
Totally. Yeah.
What brought this on? Because I think it's great that you are not a career politician, that you haven't run for office, because we need more regular people like yourself, myself, running for office to be the change that we want to see. So take me along that journey of why did you be like, you know what, I don't have enough going on. Let me go run for office.
I grew up working class, grew up, my dad being a pastor. I had to work to pay for my own shoes. I was a janitor. We lived on literally nothing. And there was always that threat of losing our place constantly growing up. When I was 18, I moved out to LA and to pursue a dream. And I was literally living on $700 a month. I was sleeping on my brother's futon, eating ramen, and going to college, working at Starbucks, and playing in 3 bands. And one of those bands happened to be OneRepublic, and it blew up. And I got to tour the country and meet all sorts of folks. But one of the things that I quickly recognized was that corporations, major labels, publishers, those are the ones that get wealthy, not the artists, not the people. And, behind the scenes, writing the songs, not to get into the nitty gritty, but, on Spotify, songwriters, because Spotify takes such a large chunk, and the publishers and the major labels, they get about $200 for every million streams. So, you can't survive on $200.
Yeah.
So, the scales are completely corrupt. They're completely scaled towards corporations. And so to change that and disrupt that, I started my record label and publishing company, and I began scaling up, doing what I do, which is music for TV, film, and commercials. And I began signing artists and signing different producers and writers, building a team and giving them a fair shake. And I saw them be able to buy homes, be able to provide for their families, and live out their American dream and their California dream. And as I started to go, I had to leave Cal State Northridge, and I ended up studying at Harvard, and I, studied there for a couple semesters, and I transferred over to Penn State and graduated from there. But I studied poli-sci. But one of the things that I quickly learned over the last decade was our political system is the exact same way. Like our country is the same way. We have these billionaires and these, corporations getting really, really, really rich, and we have the working class. Their wages have stayed stagnant since the 70s, and they're not growing. They're people my age aren't able to buy homes. They're not able to afford rent, and they're leaving the state. And then coupled with the California wildfires and the in my opinion, and this might be controversial, but what's going on in Sacramento with some of the lack of leadership. And I looked at all of it, and then seeing Trump come in with ICE and the National Guard just, this summer, and infringe upon our freedoms. And I just looked around and I was like, enough is enough. Like we have to do something about this. And Lieutenant Governor, it was just a no-brainer that I want to disrupt the system and fix it and help make some change so that working class people, the hardworking people in the state, get their fair shake and they're not leaving the state or just starving, literally starving. It's honestly insane what's going on right now, and we have to fix it. 2026, if we don't do something soon, I'm honestly really, really concerned the path that we're on.
I fear that we won't even get to 2026 to have these elections. I'm concerned with everything that's happening every single day. It is constant whiplash. It is, forget the breaking news. Like, okay, what happened now? What's the alert?
And honestly, and the way I feel, to be quite honest, and being the only outsider in this race, right? Like true outsider, that's not, I've never been a city council member. I've never been state treasurer. I've never, I'm a complete, working class person that pursued the American dream, that became a business person. To me, this fight, and I might be wrong, and I would love to hear other arguments otherwise, but the way I see it is it's not a fight against Republican and Democrat per se. It's the haves and have nots. It's the people, the elites, and those could be political elites, the billionaire class, Mark Zuckerberg, Bezos, Elon Musk, the people that hold all this wealth in this country, and the people that have nothing and that are just barely getting by. They can't go see movies right now. They can't go out to dinner. And like, for example, my parents, like they're constantly like, oh, I don't know if we can go to this movie. And I'm like, I got you guys, I got you. But that's so sad that they're like, I don't think I can see a movie. Like,
Yeah.
everyone should be able to go see a movie. Like, this is insane. Like, where are we right now? I know this is dark, but
No, it's
this
the
is
truth.
where
I mean,
we're at. And
on top of you can't see a movie, and are you going to be able to go see a doctor tomorrow?
and that's the bigger thing, is like, and that just happened to my mom recently, like where she was like, I don't want to go to the ER. She was having some type of stomach issue, right? And she's been getting scans and stuff. And she's like, I don't want to sit there and wait for 2 hours, and then I might get this crazy bill. What if I get this bill? Like, and then it'll ruin us. And I'm like, Mom, you have to go to the doctor. Like, you have to get this checked out. Like, she was so concerned about the money situation. I'm like, Mom, I got you. Like, whatever happens, I got you. But why are we having these conversations, right? Like, why? Like, this is insane. And so, we have to disrupt the system. And this is my opinion, and obviously I think it's nuanced, but I really, really, truly believe we have to get people in that are just everyday working people. And I believe, even though obviously I'm very successful, I believe I'm a working class person, and we have to get working class people in that aren't going to get corrupted by political handouts, like, super PACs or PACs. Here we call them IEs. This IE is going to give $3 million, and what are they going to get out of that relationship, right? Like, if Coinbase or whoever, name the person, the billionaire or the multimillionaire, they're giving an IE $3 million for someone in the lieutenant governor's race or whatever race, they're going to want something out of that. They're going to want
Exactly.
something.
Yeah, nothing
And
is free.
nothing is free. And that's the problem that we're having right now. There's so many layers of issues, like, the way money's raised is an issue, the way, but at the end of the day, we have to like fight for the working class and make sure they're getting their fair shake. And that's my mission. And look, like, I'm going to be straight up honest, even though I'm educated and went to Harvard and have really worked hard to study, and every day I'm studying, whether it's AI or whatever it is, every day. I don't know everything. Like, I'm going to be honest, like, I don't know everything about California politics. I'm just going to be real. But what I do know is that the working class is getting screwed over, and I'm going to fight every single day to make sure they're not screwed over anymore.
I love that you brought up that you don't know everything, because I think that a big concern for people running for office is, well, I don't know that much about politics or the government or how it's run. And I think we have some great examples when we look at people like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Nancy Mace, and they really don't know anything, and yet they've been elected more than once.
It
So,
is. It
you
is
don't
true.
have to know much. I think it gets explained to you somewhere along the way as to here's what your job is. Here's what
Honestly,
you have
like,
to do.
those are my favorite entrepreneurs or just business people in general that ask more questions than they do like giving solutions, and they're not afraid to be like, I don't know. But I was talking to somebody yesterday who, you know, really, really works hard in the political world. And I asked him just straight up, like, if I win lieutenant governor, what would you do? What would you do? And he was like, I would hire, or not hire, I would bring on a team of consultants that are experts in their field, whether it's economists, whatever you're trying to do, AI, the economy, different things like that. Bring them in as consultants and ask them questions and get their expertise opinion of a bunch of different people. And that's what I would do as lieutenant governor. Is I wouldn't be saying I have all the answers, because I don't. I would lean on people that are seasoned, that have done this, and lean on them to help me with this. But my thing is, like, I've got your back. I've got everyone in California's back. The working class, those are the people that I'm beholden to, not the political elite. And I'm not scared to call somebody out in the Democrat Party too, because there's nothing, like, I'm not trying to get their endorsement ever. so, so
These days, I'm not sure how much it means anyway, right?
I know, yeah. The people I care about are like the doctors, the nurses, the people working at Starbucks, the janitors. Like, those are the endorsements I want. Like, I don't need, God bless her, Nancy Pelosi's endorsement. So.
Why lieutenant governor? Because you were initially running for Congress. And
Yeah.
I was just telling my husband before we got on this, like, it's kind of too bad because we need to kick Calvert out of there. So
Yeah. And
why the change?
and I have no doubt Calvert's getting out. Like, there's no doubt. Like,
Oh, I'll
there
help
is
make
this.
that happen. I'm not even in
Oh
the
yeah, me
district.
too. Me too. Me too. And there's this wave coming, and a lot of it has to do with multiple factors. Like, one, there is so much gridlock right now in Congress. Like, it's really, really, really bad. And here in our state, when I saw what was happening with ICE, with the National Guard coming in here, like, we're on, I know this sounds extreme, but I really truly believe we're kind of at war right now with Trump, as a state, and not like a full on physical guns and blazing kind of war, but like he's literally invading our state, and withholding funds for education and Medicaid and other things that, I believe it's like a third of Californians rely on Medi-Cal. So, we it's a direct attack on California. And, I really, really think we need leaders. I feel like I could make a larger impact standing up here as second in command of the fourth largest economy in the world, to make a bigger impact as far as standing up to Donald Trump, because that is kind of my mission in this, is to stand up and make sure we have checks and balances. And I think this is like a beautiful bully pulpit to do that and to stand up. And moving forward, I think, the way we're seeing politics go, California, there's a lot of change we can do here as a state, just being the fourth largest economy in the world. And honestly, with the development of tech and AI, we're going to see some really, really insane things in the next couple of years, with AGI and super intelligence. And my whole thing is, why not capitalize on that technology as a state and create massive wealth for the working class, make sure that money comes back to the working class. And what I'm kind of talking about is like, our energy grid is fossil fuel based, right? Why not, move over to a clean energy based thing, but it might be a new technology that we haven't even explored yet. I think it's fusion, and we're right on the cusp of it. I think AGI is going to help us get to that tech. When we get there, we could basically power the whole United States. We can completely power the whole United States and become completely wealthy and make sure that wealth is going back to the people here in the state. And, that wealth could go to building affordable housing. It could, make sure that our healthcare is taken care of and other things like that. So my long-term future vision is, we have the greatest tech companies in the world. We have Google, we have OpenAI, we have so many huge tech companies. Let's partner with them. But OpenAI, for example, Sam Altman, he's a Democrat,
Mm-hmm.
but he's met with Trump several times. He's becoming more and more red. And I've heard him say many times, he's like, I'm a Democrat, but I'm more populist, like of the people kind of thing. I don't know. I'm not sure about Sam Altman. I feel like there's
I have
some type of
questions.
shady thing going on. But but honestly, like as someone who cares about the working people, let's partner with OpenAI and other tech companies to build transformative technologies that we can sell back to the United States. That's what I think we should do.
I like the idea, being a Californian, and
Yeah.
I would love to build off the wealth of my state and to
Yeah.
see it come back. And I agree. We should be having the best education, healthcare. For being such a large economy, there's no reason why we should really have a homeless population that it
No,
is the way it is. I'm in San Jose, so we have it. It's constant. We're constantly trying to clean it up and build houses, and you can't build them fast enough, and they're so expensive to build these temporary modular homes because everyone has their hand in it. It's absolutely unreal that it costs $1 million for a tiny home for an
totally.
unhoused person to move into. That doesn't make sense.
Totally. And the thing, that made me also want to jump in this race as well was the fact that a lot of the Sacramento establishment, if you will, they're afraid to look in the mirror and be like, yes, Trump's economic policies are affecting the homelessness issue. But also, we've done a lot of things here that have been really, really bad. It's been a lot of mismanagement. And my thing is like, yes, I'm a true blue Democrat, but I'm not afraid to be like, yeah, Sacramento has messed up and we need to change the way we're doing things and do it differently to make sure that the unhoused and homeless people are, taken care of. And the situation is different, growing up, and and the homeless population is still a huge part of, I'll go out here in Thousand Oaks and go to the food banks and do various things. I love doing that. It makes my heart happy, just serving others and helping others. And my dad was the one that taught me that. Like every Thanksgiving, we would go and they would do an event down there at the church, and tons of homeless people and people that were needing help with food and groceries would come to these things. And at first as a kid, I was scared, right? Like you meet someone and they come up and they're, probably on drugs or have mental issues and, talking to themselves and things. And you're kind of scared. But then as you meet these folks, you're like, wow, these are just people, they're human beings that have gone through something horrible and they need help, and we're so wealthy. Like even just talking about Sam Altman and Google, like we have so much wealth. Homelessness shouldn't be a thing right now. We're the United States is the empire of the world. California is the fourth largest economy. We should be feeding, like there shouldn't be homelessness in general. Like that shouldn't be a thing. Like, and I truly believe the establishment, the billionaires, the corporations, and the political elite have purposely allowed homelessness to happen because it makes them more wealthy.
Which is so absolutely sad and disheartening. I was reading this morning about Zuckerberg in Palo Alto buying up 11 different properties, and there's
Saw
a
that on the
compound, and there's a private school with 14 students. But why? Why?
like, why do you need that much money? It's like a game to them, right? It's
Yeah.
like it's a game to Elon. Like he it's a complete game. I don't understand. Like that shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't be happening. And then going out big picture, the United States is in crisis as far as like our debt. Like we're in so much effing debt. It's crazy. Like
And it keeps
and
going up.
and right now, our GDP, I believe it's $21 trillion a year. China's is 17 trillion, but they're growing at 6 to 9%, and we're growing at 2 or 3%. Like they're gonna surpass us in the next couple of years if we continue this trend. Let's get our house in order and bring down our debt. The best way I see doing that is very easy: tax all these billionaires 5% or whatever it is, 10%, and let's just start bringing down the debt every single year and get our house in order.
And speaking of taxes, I have a really hard time thinking about California and more taxes to make up for the taxes that we're paying federally that are being withheld from us in our own state. So I'm wondering, at what point do we just stop paying federal taxes because we don't get
Absolutely.
them back and just keep it here? I'm on the PTA, so I'm getting the conversations of, here's how much we need, every family to donate. Here's how much the state gave us for music and for art, and we need to make up the balance because it doesn't work out, and then we need PE too. And this is just ridiculous because not only are we donating money, we've got property taxes, we've got the federals and the states, and yet we just had, luckily the funds were unfrozen before school started, but only days before school started was
It's
there almost $1 billion that our public schools were getting back.
it's honestly insane. And when you look at the map of the states that are in the green, right, that are making money, basically the federal government's the amount that they're giving, the amount they're getting back, it's places like Connecticut, Virginia. You look at the map and you start looking around and you're like, wait, all our congressmen and senators live here around DC. They're giving it to states that they're going to profit from. They're going to fix their roads. We're so far removed. It is so ridiculous. Like I'm of the school of thought, and honestly, and this is how bold I am. I would go to jail for treason for California to withhold our taxes as lieutenant governor. I would take it a step further than Newsom and say, no, we're withholding all our taxes until we get our fair shake. And if that means me going to jail, so be it. I would do that for California.
I feel like lately, and growing up, it was always like, don't get arrested, right? And
Yeah.
lately,
Oh, I'm
I'm
not
like, you know
afraid.
what? Mommy might end up in jail and it would be okay for what she
Yeah.
goes for.
Absolutely. It's Lewis said, good trouble, right? So
Mhm.
like, I was speaking down in downtown, and spoke to thousands of people that gathered during the John Lewis protests and spoke about getting into good trouble. As I was saying that, there was police officers lying behind me. I had to hire a security guard to be with me just in case. There were snipers on the roofs. There was rubber bullets being shot at people 2 places down, 2 streets down. And my wife is like, "Aren't you scared?" And I'm like, "No. Like this is what we need to do. This is what we need to do. Like we have to shake it up." And yeah, I've been to so many protests. I'm not scared of getting into trouble or getting arrested. And we have to do extreme measures like this in order to stand up right now to Trump, because he's taking extreme measures. I was just in Kern County visiting a prison, and I was doing an interview there, and they turned it into an ICE detention center. And Trump, and his team filled out paperwork, and whatever the logistics are to make this a nice prison. Instead of waiting to get it approved, as we were there, we saw vans and other, people arrested workers, like people that are working the fields going into this prison. And they just went ahead and did it anyways. This is what's going on. And, they're saying, we only have 10 million undocumented immigrants in this country, right? How large is the US population? 340 million?
Yeah, I have
Something
no
like
idea at this
something
point.
like that. 340 million. So out of those 10 million, how many of those are rapists and criminals, right?
Yeah.
Like, give me a break. Like, what, like 100,000? Like, that's maybe a lot, right? It's
Yeah.
probably like 10,000. So let's stop pointing the finger at these poor people, poor literally and figuratively, like that are working these fields and cleaning houses, these undocumented people that we need for our economy. Because if we don't have them, you know, doing, working these fields and picking crops, like the costs of groceries are going to go way up, and all this food is going to rot. Let's let them be and stop pointing the finger at them, and let's point the finger at where it really is supposed to go, which is the political elite and the billionaires who are controlling the system and keeping us down. It's all manipulation, right? It's all manipulation. It's to get
And the
the
fact
finger on.
that most of them are paying taxes too, which I
Yeah.
found so incredibly insightful that, I think most people didn't realize that you could be undocumented and pay taxes. And yet we do have billionaires who aren't paying taxes. So this group is probably paying a lot more to keep
Yeah.
our government and everybody running than the billionaires are. And yet we want to get rid of them, which doesn't make sense.
Honestly, Trump is the master of distraction, right? We're seeing that right now with the Epstein thing.
Yeah.
And now Republicans' eyes and the MAGA base, like Rogan and other folks who are really, just anti-establishment, are kind of opening their eyes and being like, whoa, they kind of see what he's doing, which is like distracting you from like what's really happening, right? And I see the immigration thing as a complete distraction, right, of what's really, really going on, which is the wealth gap is getting larger and larger and larger in this country and in the state. And they don't want us to realize it. They don't want us to focus on it. Because
Yeah.
when we focus on it, their wealth goes away.
Not to mention that they want it to just be the white Christian man who runs the world.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would no longer have a show if we continue down this path, I'm sure. Waiting for the vote to be taken away. So, everything else. Yeah, I think it's all a distraction of we'll do this week. And when they're not looking, we're going to go over here and take this away. And that's just what they're attempting to do. You mentioned your wife asked you if you were scared. I want to talk, if we can, a little bit about your
Yeah.
family too. And
Yeah.
like, what is their reaction? What's your wife's reaction? What's her thought about you running for lieutenant governor? What do your kids think?
They were, they were like, "Why are you doing this? Like, what are you doing? Like, please don't do this. Why? And they're like, my kids are like, you literally, daddy, have the best job in the world. You get to work in music and work with these cool celebrities, and they think it's just so cool. And they're like, why? Like, politics is ugly and nasty and bad. And that's what I've been sharing with them, is that's the exact reason why I'm doing it, is because it's ugly and bad and we need to fix it. And my 10-year-old in particular, the next fundraiser I'm doing, she was like, she's really into music and she sings and writes songs and stuff. And she's like, Daddy, can I give a speech at your next fundraiser? And I was like, absolutely. And I'm like, you're not going to say anything bad about me, right? And she was like, no, just don't. I was like, okay, cool. So she wants to give a speech, like a political speech
That's
about.
amazing.
I'm so curious what she's going to say, and I'm not going to read her thing. I'm going to just kind of experience it. But I think, that generation, and I know we were talking off camera, you have kids
Yeah.
and kids as well, about the same age, and there's a lot of depression, right? There's a lot, like, a lot of these kids are going, there's been an increase in depression and suicide, and and then the older kids that are in college, they're the way they look at the future is like, I don't know if I want to have kids. Like, I don't know if I want to have a family. I don't know if I want to do this. And their outlook on the future is really, really bad. And which breaks my heart, because to me, if we take back control, like we, the people, um, to me, the future could be brighter than ever. Like what we're doing with technology, if we, the people, benefited from all that, and the next coming years, like, this could be the best time to be alive. And I want to inject that optimism back into California and our country, something that we haven't had in a really, really long time.
I love that. And as a parent, I agree. And we've got these kids who they obviously went COVID kindergarten. So that
Yeah.
was an experience that we've kind of just moved on, and yet this is what their formative, memorable years of being in school were. There's violence, school shootings almost on a daily basis. And yet we don't even talk about it anymore. And then we're watching what is unfolding with Trump in office. And now, marriage equality is probably going to be overturned. And we're just going so far backwards. I do worry. My daughter said just the other night, she goes, what if my brother turned out to be gay? Like, just a question. She goes, what would you do? And I go, well, you know what I would do? Like, who cares? I don't care. And she goes,
Yeah.
no, not you, mommy. What would you do to protect him?
Mm,
Because Trump wouldn't like it. That's
isn't
what
that
she
wild?
asked me. And I was like,
Mm,
oh, well, that I would fight tooth and nail for you guys. So I would make sure that we're all okay. But
yeah.
that's what her concern was.
Isn't
That's
that
what our
wild? And
kids are
she's so
seeing.
young, right? And
Yes.
she's so young. It's so sad. Like, she shouldn't have to worry about that. She shouldn't have to think about that. And yeah, bringing up, these gun drills that we have to, I mean, you think back about when we were kids, like, we didn't have to think about this stuff.
No, it
It's
was
insane.
earthquakes. You get under your
It was
desk and that was
totally,
about it.
yeah. And my kids now, they've been evacuated 3 times by wildfires,
Mm, mhm,
here in California.
mhm.
And it's going to be a continued thing, right? And but I'm so, honestly, like, I want that generation just to feel that American dream, that California dream, really, like, that they can do anything and they're excited about their future. And I think there's a lot to be excited about. I mean, when you really think about California, like, it's wild. Like, we're the fourth largest economy in the world. So we surpassed Japan and Germany, I believe, right? Like, what we could do with that wealth if we actually held onto it and didn't give it to the federal government, and we're in the red, like, we could end traffic, honestly, here. You know what I mean? I know I'm
That would
talking
be
about things that,
amazing.
I know I'm not, I know there's so many more important things like healthcare and things like that, but Like think about like we could have our 1950s kind of revolution with like the freeways and everything like that, and we could build an infrastructure that's all clean energy and new energy, like fusion. We could have a high speed rail that actually is built and working. We could have like, some type of, public transportation system in place here that stops traffic, or, we could partner with autonomous cars. There's so many different ways we can look at our future and just look at it differently, and making sure people are taken care of with healthcare. My whole thing is like, let's get off of, and I'm not talking like treasonous hyperbole, more just like, let's start thinking more as like a state and our own country, which, because we are basically, and stop thinking about the United States and our relationship, and kind of think more we're our own country. And I'm not talking about like, being our own actual country, but I'm just talking about our mindset. You know what I mean? Like we feel like,
Prioritizing ourselves.
exactly, yeah, taking care of ourselves.
You are very refreshing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I enjoy it because I think that you have some great ideas. I think that you are can I call you an elite everyday person? Like you're
Cool.
everyday, but yeah, you're like above every day.
Oh man. Well, yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. And, I eat in and out all the time, and I feel like I'm an everyday person. So my wife would say Tim is very much an everyday person. So.
I love it. I love it.
I'm not eating at French Laundry. I've never ate there.
I've never eaten there either. I can't get a reservation.
Yeah.
No, I haven't tried. So, and In-N-Out's literally a mile away, so it's much easier and affordable.
Yeah.
Where can everybody find you, learn more about you, contribute to your campaign, and all the good stuff?
Yeah, votetimmyers.com. And, we need the help to get there. And, this is a long campaign. We have 10 months, and we're going to be doing a lot of events. So please sign up if you'd love to like go door knocking or help out in any way. We're going to be having some fun concerts and events. So yeah, please sign up and let's do this.
I love it.
Fix our state.
Thank you so much, Tim. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. It was great talking with you.
I am so grateful to Tim for not only spending the time with me to allow me and you to get to know him, but to also have someone like Tim running for office to help get California where we need to go. I do think that we need change. We need change across the board, as you know, as we are seeing every single day. So it is very refreshing to hear some new perspectives, some new hopes and dreams for this beautiful state that I get to call home. I am so grateful to Tim to spend this time with me and for all of you to learn more about what's beyond the campaign.